What's going on, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joe Sheeran.
And we have an action-packed show for you guys tonight. I know the Sixers-Celtics game on. Who would have thought, Joe? 6 games into it, or 7, I guess it's the 7th game, right? 7 games into it, we'd be fighting for the first spot in the East with the Celtics. But
both 5-1.
Yeah, here we go. We'll get into that, of course. So if you're watching that game, of course, you can mute it and listen to us and talk along with us and still watch the game, and we'll keep you guys up to date as well. Eagles are on the bye week, but does not mean we have nothing to talk about at all. We have plenty to talk about, and even to the point we brought in some help, Joe. Brooks Kubena, I think I'm saying it right. I'm going to double check with him because I listened to a bunch of videos where he was in, and everybody called him something different. So I'm going to clear it with him when we talk to him tonight. But Brooks Kubena. Kubena is the Eagles beat writer for The Athletic. And we're in a lot of questions with him right now. And yeah, I just want to show everybody here, and you guys will be seeing him tonight. But also, we will talk a little Phillies, plenty of Eagles, Sixers, not much with the Flyers because they had that great October run they always have, and it's November, and they forgot how to play hockey again. So we'll get into that as well. But Joe, what's going on, brother? Long time since we've been across from each other.
It's been a while since we've been in the studio. Life happens, and of course, we got to get Fred on the show as well. So.
Yeah. So, Daniel Berry, what's going on, bud? So, Joe, let's just point a little something out in case some people forgot. Hey, Eagles beat Dallas Cowboys this Sunday.
Yes, they did.
Can I just tell you something, Joe? I was at the game. Game. I left my house. You know where we live. We live very close to Stadium. On a busiest day, it's about a half hour from our house to the game, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, maybe 45 minutes.
Depending on the time you leave.
Yeah. I left my house by 1:45. I guess I worked on 1:45. Game was at 4:25.
Mm-hmm.
I got in the stadium about halfway towards the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. It took me less effort and time to get down to the stadium during the 2008 World Series parade than it did for this.
Yeah.
I literally came down. They shut off Broad and Patterson. Had to come back up Broad all the way down past Packard Ave, come all the way around through the back roads to come out by the casino and the turf club there.
Sure.
To sit there for that light to turn at the casino to park right next to the casino in the Citizens Bank Park took me all that time. Took me about an hour and a half. Yeah,
we the one game we went to this year, the Washington game, me and Lex went down with a couple of her friends, and we were, it was very close to game time, and we were just right in front of the stadium. And they were like, hey, there's no point all 4 of us missing some of the game. Why don't you 2 jump out, go to your seats, and, we'll find parking and we'll get in there. We're like, after the third time of us saying no, it was like, okay, we're just, don't tempt us again. We're just going to do it. So that's what we did. And they didn't get in till 7 minutes left till halftime.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and sorry. We left at 11 o'clock. So we also left 2 hours prior to game.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Joe,
latest we've ever left for a game too.
So before we get Brooks on the line here, which is about 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Your ultimate feeling. I mean, it's always great. No matter how you beat the Cowboys, it's always just that little extra. We keep hearing of Miami. That would be a test. We beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is going to be a real test. We beat them. It would have been nice to be a little cleaner in some ways, but ultimately, I really did not feel we were out of control. I mean, got a little hairy at the end. Don't get me wrong. I always thought the Eagles were in it. Joe, what are your overall thoughts with this win moving forward?
Overall thoughts is a win is a win. We beat Dallas. We beat them at home. It's a division game. I, gotta, as a person in what we do here, you kind of gotta take the green colored glasses off at some point, and you have to realize that Dallas, Dallas sucks, but really, Dak isn't that bad of a quarterback, and Dallas isn't that bad of a team.
And he plays well against the Eagles.
Absolutely. Of course he plays well against the Eagles. They're coming into enemy territory, and of course they're going to be up for the game. Division game usually comes down to the wire with Cowboys, and that's just the way that these games go. I'm very happy for the win. Do I think it was a bit sloppy on the Eagles' part? Yeah, of course it was. But good teams find a way to win.
And
that's all exactly. That's what it comes down to. Were there lucky moments with a fumble here or there or 3? Yes. But again, good teams find a way to win games. Was it a fluke play that AJ ran into to Swift and somehow that play and then the
Tyler Steen.
The Tyler Steen, yes.
Recovery.
The Tyler Steen recovery and the the Jalen Hurts one where he went back, fumbled the ball, caught the ball, but then went down. Like yes, there are lucky, fluky plays that happen.
The ball literally bounced your way.
It absolutely did. But at the end of the day, the Eagles won the game. And in fact, Jalen Hurts beat the Cowboys on one leg. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was times where we thought Mariota could come in for a series or two. And now here we are, the absolute perfect time for a bye week.
So as we posted them, I had the pleasure to watch the game with Arkansas Fred Barnett, and we were sitting together when the whole Dak stepping out on that extra the 2-point conversion moment.
Dak being Dak.
Dak being Dak. I said he just dacked it up. I said he totally dacked up the situation, and it was funny because when they were reviewing the play, when Nick Sirianni was reviewing the play when it was a turnover, and everybody's like, "Why is he reviewing the play?" Because there was that penalty on the end of it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody thought the penalty was going to give them the first down, but no, it would have been us, with the ball still, but we would have been all the way backed up.
Right, yeah. It would have been.
Because even Fred Barnett's like, I don't understand why he's doing this. I'm like, when I explained it to him, he goes, well, thank God you're here. I'm like, never heard that from an NFL player, but I'll take it. But no, I mean, it was just fun to see because even like he was in it. And how long has it been since he played, football?
It's been a while.
Yeah, so like he's sitting, you can see him go, we can't lose the Dallas Cowboys. You can't it's in like there has been questions that is the Eagles Cowboys rivalry still there and and Joe, I think you said it best. Yes. I don't think it's the same rivalry as before because before, let's be honest, in the 90s, they had our number.
Oh, absolutely.
We were okay losing every game except for against Dallas.
They had a majority of teams numbers early in the 90s.
And then the 2000s came around, and then that started to shift. The Cowboys became the Cowboys that we see today. Can't win a playoff game or more than one playoff game. And we started going to NFC Championship games and Super Bowls and actually winning a Super Bowl. But the one thing I can say, it is still there. It is still there. I don't know if it has the same fervor on a Monday before the game.
Right.
But as you get closer each day, it does get heavier and heavier.
I think it does for us. I still think some of the newer, younger generation, they don't get it at this point.
Well, it's just like
you can't really blame them.
No, like take our kids for instance. Like they're young, 7, 8 years old, and even like a 10, 12-year-old, 15-year-old. I mean, the Phillies have been good for the most part. They won a World Series. They've now been better. They had a little lull in between. Don't get me wrong, but they were too young to notice at that point.
Even just thinking about the Eagles, like somebody who was born when McNabb was drafted, 1999. That person is 24 years old right now.
Yeah.
So a majority of their upbringing, the Eagles have the majority of their upbringing, the Eagles have been at the forefront of the NFC East, really.
And if you think about it, even go a little further back, if you were born 10 years before McNabb was a quarterback, you're still like 10, 11, 12 years old when we really could start to get into it.
Right.
So even if you're 34, 35 years old, you really didn't live through it. I mean, you're 40.
Right.
So part of it was inbred into us. We
of course.
Uncles and fathers and brothers and
those people are the ones now saying, oh, well, the Kelly Green reminds me of a miserable period of the Eagles.
Well, we talked about this. I said, I like the Kelly Green. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great. But if you want to go by the colors that made this team great,
100%.
Midnight Green was 100%. That. Like that's how you have to look at it. But I mean, ultimately, the Eagles being 8-1 right now, is that what you expected, Joe? Is it better than you expected? Or did it just blow you? It blows your mind that they're 8-1 right now.
What blows my mind is that their one loss is to the Jets. I mean,
if you know that's going to happen.
You know they're going to take a bad loss, 100%.
Every team has that 100%. Bad loss.
But I could see them. But I could see the bad loss coming to like the Giants, who are just a dumpster fire, like later in the season.
With the Commanders.
I'll answer your original question. Am I surprised they're 8-1? I'm not overly surprised that they're 8-1. Okay, maybe I am, but I don't know who that other one or two losses would have come from. Well, and the reason I say that, the reason I say that is because of not only the fresh faces and trying to acclimate them into a new system, but you also have a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator here. So yes, I do agree that there are growing pains when it comes to the beginning of the season. I'm not overly surprised that they're 8-1, but I could see them being like 7-2 or 5-3. Like, like just trying to like getting towards their stride, like getting towards the type of football, the type of Eagles football that you need and want them to play going into the stretch, going into the later of the season.
Now we've been talking about this since the schedule was released. This was referred to as quote unquote the murderer's row,
Yes.
and that would be after this bye week. First part started last week with the Cowboys and first W of that murderer's row. Then with the bye week, now you have the Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys, and even Seattle. Seattle to me is kind of like in the middle right there. I'm not saying they're a good team, but they're not super scary. But
is that at home or Washington?
That is in Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an in Seattle game. So which the team we haven't won in Seattle since Carson Wentz, who now is back in the NFL as a Ram.
Yes. Yeah, let me touch on that. I'm gonna make a note of that.
But looking at this murderer's row now compared to what you were looking at when the season started, is it still just as scary, even more scarier, or do you feel actually a little more confident overall?
I'm a little bit more confident because I saw that the way they played against the Dolphins, who at the moment were the number one offense in the league, and the defense really did step up. Not their breakout game, I would say, on the defensive side of the ball, but they played very well. And if you look at the final score, they actually took the foot off the brake or off the pedal, off the gas at the end, because they kneeled it. They could have easily gotten another touchdown to really make that game on paper in the scoreboard, make it look as dominating as it was actually on the field.
Yeah.
Now, the Washington, which was close again, they came out victorious, and then Dallas. Dallas is a tough team.
Before you go any further, not just the Eagles, but like any team, like the Dolphins, they lost to New England, didn't they?
Yes. No, they lost to the Bills.
The Bills. I'm sorry. And Bills. Somebody lost to New England. One of those teams lost to New England, I think.
Did the Bills?
The Bills, something like that.
Yeah.
When you see a divisional team, no matter how good or bad they are, and you see a loss there, does that not register to you as much, knowing that they should have won, but because of that,
because it's a division game?
Yeah.
I can see where you're going with it, but I don't think it really goes the same way as it would for us in the NFC East across the board.
Okay.
Because there are divisions that are just awful.
Yeah, totally
just absolutely awful. Yeah, so when it comes to our division, and if I'm looking at, say the Eagles did lose and they're 7-2, and I'm looking at the two losses in the column, like, okay, Jets suck. Dallas, I get it. You know what I mean? Because it's tough.
Yeah, guys, but real quick, not real quick, but hey, guys, on the line right now, the man of the hour, Brooks Kubena. Am I saying it right? Because, Brooks, I'm going to be honest with you, bud. I've watched a bunch of videos of people calling you by your name, and everybody said it differently. So, for the record.
It is Kubena.
Kubena. Okay, so Brooks Kubena.
Yeah, we got that.
From The Athletic, the Eagles beat writer. So, actually, not too long ago, you were working, covering Houston, right? Correct?
That's right. Yeah, covered the Texans for 2.5 seasons.
All right. I'm going to ask you this very simply. How much different is it covering Houston to Philly?
Well, I mean, two totally different franchises in terms of where they're at and what they've been through. The Texans, it was all about, from the beginning, when I showed up in 2021, they were rebuilding. They had so many overhauls, whether it was rosters, coaches, staffers, all of that. The roster, I'd start the season, oh, this guy's cool. Let me see if I could do a feature on him. 2 days later, he was cut. I'd be like, well, that's a bad strategy. And then, this year with D'Amico Ryan's third head coach in 3 years, they were on the up. And I think people saw two average teams in a really fun game on Sunday in the way that they finished with the Buccaneers. Showed up here, wrote my last story whenever, about, 2 weeks ago, drove up here, and about 10 days ago, came into town, and, the Eagles coming into the locker room. I mean, this is a team that is confident in itself. It's already proven itself. It's gone the distance to the Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni, he's proven himself. All these people, it's just confidence. It's trying to keep it going. Although, it has been stressful. They're 8-1, but after the game, I talked to, AJ Brown and Jason Kelsey and others are like, man, I did watch every game before my first game on Sunday. I was like, man, guys, and I heard you guys talking about this on the show just now about Washington. Seems like you guys are just used to stressful games. And AJ Brown laughed and he's like, yeah, man, it's got my nerves bad, man. They want to win differently. So it's two totally different situations. The fan bases, everybody has their own perspective because it's relative about what you expect, and your expectations change whenever success begins. So I mean that's pretty much the gist of it right now.
Hey Brooks, Joe here, and I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm just going to jump right into it. I want to ask you about a couple injuries that were, or at least one of them that just came out today. Nakobe Dean comes out that he has a Liz Frank sprain. Is there any type of word on the recovery time to a sprain compared to a Liz Frank break, which we know is just season ending?
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time he's probably added to the injured reserve, and it's one of those situations where a linebacker that's a very anybody in the NFL where you need to spring off the field. Sprains in terms of I've covered athletes who have dealt with hamstring injuries, and then the ligaments that help your explosivity. It's some of those things don't really have timelines in terms of just okay, what's this looking at and how's it going, and let's check back through the recovery as it goes on. So I mean, it's a loss for the Eagles right now in terms of how things were going. But Nicholas Morrow has done really well in that spot too, and he's played the majority of the snaps while Dean's been out. So in terms of depth, it's a problem for the Eagles, but not one that they haven't been dealing with already in terms of a defense that's seen not only on the linebacker core but the secondary is fielding a new configuration every week, it seems. So it's a couple days after this on Sunday, so they're working through this, and we'll see where this goes with Dean, who he's been banged up this year, and it's they were just talking about him my first weekend listening to Nick Sirianni and Sean Desai. They were excited about him to get back into the rhythm of things, and just another setback for him.
Yeah, just to piggyback real quick on the linebacker position, since you brought up depth, Christian Ellis is a name that we heard a lot about in the preseason. Is there a chance that this open up an opportunity for him, or is this just something? Is there just something they're not seeing in him that they did before that he's just not getting on the field?
Yeah, I mean, Christian Ellis, he's got 46 snaps defensively throughout the year. I mean, it's partly depth. It's also, I mean, he came in and he's been with this team for a couple of years now and hasn't quite, seen that much action. I mean, he's kind of the depth guy that comes up mostly in special teams, and he's been up and down the practice squad. I think there's whenever injuries like this occur, it's possible, but I think when you when you see how the defense is lined up, even with the depth at the beginning of the season, you didn't see Ellis too much into it, but they've got options with Morrow, and they've got Zach Cunningham on the other end that's been taking up most of the snaps. Both those guys play for the majority of the game. I think Zach Cunningham is about 85%, and Morrow was about 63% for the year in terms of defense, but they stay on the field for most of the time. So, I mean, he could. That's one of the guys that could come into it, and we haven't seen much from him yet this season. So we'll see how they ramp up once they come back to practice next week.
Brooks, you talk about depth, and with the now injury to Dallas Goedert, they're saying 4 weeks possibly out, and I guess the timing's as best it can be in the situation because they got about 2 weeks of that time being taken up by the bye week. But talking to doctors, working in the industry, they're saying 4 weeks might be a little bit much to ask for, but 6 weeks is more likely. Where does the depth come in and help, knowing all the weapons that they have for the Eagles come in to help cover a guy like Dallas Goedert, because maybe he hasn't been getting as much work as a guy normally he would with his caliber because of all the weapons around him. But do they, is it next guy up, do you think, or do they have a guy like Julio Jones, who isn't a tight end but a big body receiver, come in and kind of take over his position a little bit while he's out?
We asked Sirianni about this earlier this week, and it seems like the options are internal at this point. I mean, it's a really unfortunate timing for the injury, given that the trade deadline just passed, so they don't have all that many options. You bring up Julio Jones, right? So you could look and test out some of the market out there to see some free agents, and they've general managers have worked out players in all positions over time. They got a Rolodex they can check, but Jack Stoll has come into this situation before last year. That's mostly where the talk has gone so far. And I mean, it's not an ideal situation for this offense. It's something I wrote about, and there'll be more on that later tomorrow on the Athletic about kind of a midseason report here. But I mean, Dallas Goedert was their third leading receiver, and I think even whenever he comes back at the end of the year, he'll still be their third leading receiver. It's not a situation where there's. I mean, it's great when they have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and the way that they're producing, but when you think about tight end depth, Jack Stoll, 2 catches, 10 yards, that's it for the rest of the depth there. And I think that you look at other options on the team. Grant Calcaterra obviously missed Sunday's game with the concussion, and we'll see how available he is. But I think one of the guys that I was pointing out to is we haven't seen much from Albert O. Okukwenam. Yes. He's been at the Broncos and is really the pass catcher out of those 3. It's sweet. We heard Roseman earlier in the year talk about being able to trade for him and bring him into the roster, but he hasn't really seen much time on the field yet. That's a lot to do with how Dallas has been performing throughout the year, but this is an offense that regularly goes 11 personnel. But I think he's probably a guy that you start seeing a little bit more opportunity for if Jack Stoll doesn't produce in some ways, because I know Stoll has, since his time at Nebraska, has tried to dodge the label of being a blocking tight end, but that's what he's largely been with the Eagles since he's been here. And throughout the year, whenever he started, it's mostly been in those 12, 2 tight end packages where he is assisting in blocking. That's why when he's has so much percentage in terms of the offense, but no targets really in terms of the season. I don't know if that's really the role that he has and that they have in mind for him. So I think when you look at options on the team, I think Albert O is one of those guys that come into mind about what they might do with that starting next week. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the guy to go with.
You bring up Albert O, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I try and do my due diligence on these guys, and that's just one of the guys I thought was pretty far down the tight end depth chart. And I don't know much about. Can the guy block? Can he be out there and just be an extra body along the offensive line if needed?
Well, I mean, in that sense, like you have Jack Stoll, you have other ways you can work around the offense. Sirianni talked about this on Monday, when not just with the tight ends that are on the roster, but you look at other ways the offense can support the tight end depth that you have, or really the lack thereof at this point. So I think you look at this offense, and there's a lot of run pass option to it. Sirianni calls it the RPR. Stoll, Dallas Goedert was a big part of that. And you think about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, whenever they draw those double teams, whenever they draw a lot of attention, the other people that are available are tight ends in that sense. And in the offense so far this season, I know there's been a lot of talk about the inefficiency of the run game, but Sirianni has been pretty persistent in saying that they just lean towards the offense. I think whenever you have talent or whatever you have available to yourself, like Jack Stoll has mostly been a blocking guy, I can almost see that in those RPR scenarios, you're starting to lean more to where your strengths are. Maybe we start seeing the run game open up more in these upcoming game plans. So in terms of Albert O, like, and whether he's a blocking tight end and whether that's his strength, I mean, I think you can see that his strength is as a pass catcher. So if they need something in the run game, I think that goes to what I just described in terms of Stoll and how that affects the rest of the offense and how they might build a game plan.
Sure. Now, with going into the bye week, perfect spot in the season for not only Jalen to just get whatever He needs to get right with his knee. But someone like Bradley Roby, I mean, with an extra week off, can you see this guy coming back after the bye?
Yeah, he tweeted toward a fan the other day, right after the game. He said, "I'll be back." So that's big news. He had that shoulder injury that's kept him out for several weeks. I talked to Eli Ricks after the game, and he was also active on social media, accepting his performance on Sunday, and knew that he needed to get better. And I mean, just the cycle of nickel safety since Devontae Maddox went out week 2. It's been the Achilles heel of this defense. I mean, Dallas was able to drive up and down the field, and CeeDee Lamb had close to 200 yards, often exploiting that interior of the defense in terms of its secondary. And sometimes that was Ricks, sometimes sometimes that was elsewhere. I think Bradley Roby in his 2 games, there's some nice things he did, but there's really not that much there to have full confidence that that's going to overall help the secondary, which is giving up the most passing yards in the NFL right now. I mean, Roby is a 10-year veteran. He's played well in multiple spots, but at 31, he's starting to get a little banged up. He's been out for a little while. His transition back in the team will be interesting and noteworthy. But Sean Desai talked about the young guys and how they were learning, and that they have to lick their wounds and continue to learn from their mistakes as they go on. And he said that 5 days before Ricks had his game against Dallas. So, I mean, it's a problem. It'd be nice. That's why they picked up Bradley Roby, to try and fix that hole that they have in the defense. And we'll see. It'll be a huge game against the Chiefs, against Pat Mahomes, and a game that they really need to have that problem fixed. So we'll see how much he's influenced into the defense.
Brooks, did you ever believe in all the time you've been covering football, especially NFL football, that you would hear an NFL center be possibly voted one of the sexiest men in 2023? Did you ever thought you would believe that only in Philly? Like, is it still pretty amazing that that's happening?
You know what? When I was 12 years old, I actually predicted this. I sat down and I said, you know what? Whenever I'm 30, I'm going to be covering the sexiest man alive. So, yeah, I did. I'm going to go on the record and say that.
All right. It's a good record to have. Brooks, so, number one, where can everybody find you at?
It's at BKUBENA on Twitter, and you can find all my work at theathletic.com. And we've got stuff up there for the Eagles now, and we'll have something up tomorrow on a midseason report. And I can't wait to produce more stories. Coming up here from Houston, this is a team that I was really interested in covering, and I mean, gosh, with all the success they've had and the path they're on, and the people I've already met, I'm really excited for all of it. So really happy to have you guys along for the ride, and hope you enjoy the work that comes out.
Hey, Brooks, I got one more for you, and it just popped in my head because of what we were just talking about with Roby. Now, with the game coming up against the Chiefs, and of course the big body of Travis Kelce, is there any chance that they move Bradbury to the slot and possibly put Roby on the outside, or Eli Ricks, just so there's a little bit of a bigger body on Travis Kelce, because you need an answer for him?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, and in terms of whether you're going to use the slot to cover the tight end. I mean, in terms of, you also lose your linebacker in Jacoby Dean, and how are they going to transition that position against the slot in certain situations? I've seen defenses where whenever I was covering the Texans, the linebackers were a lot influenced into covering tight ends. Will this be something where you see Zach Cunningham following him? Where is it? Who's going to be on him? Bradbury, I think they like him outside. They had a situation where CeeDee Lamb was getting 200 yards, and it took till the end of the game for Darius Slay to say himself, I want to go in there and cover him. I don't think that's part of the game plan. They don't really like the guys that they count on being outside lockdown cornerbacks to start trailing in other directions. But I think that's an interesting question. We'll see how that works out.
All right, Brooks, we want to thank you. And also, I was scheduling here at EoP Sports. You actually will be back on our network next week, apparently, with our boys Chet and Bill over at Philly Press Box Radio. I think they scheduled you for next Wednesday. So anybody here who's listening, enjoy what Brooks is talking about, enjoys Brooks's writing over at The Athletic, you're going to get another dose of him next week at the Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday. So we'll get a double dose in 1 week of Brooks.
Well, that's news to me, but sounds great.
All right, brother. Thank you. Have a great time. We'll stay in touch and have you back on later.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks again.
So Brooks Kubena, K Kubena, and on Twitter as well, and you can find him at The Athletic. We want to thank him for coming on. And also, guys, you need to get out to PhillySportsTrips.com right now. Go there right now because we talk about the Chiefs. It's 2 weeks away as of, Monday was 2 weeks away because it is a Monday night game. Guys, you can go out.
I don't think I knew that.
You didn't know that? Well, you know
Damn
now.
it.
You know now because Philly Sports Trips is going to have you all booked up for that, Joe. Hollis Thomas is going to be there. Seth Joyner is going to be there. Thousands of Philly fans are going to be there. We always say it's not just a hotel. It's not just a ticket. It's not just a flight. It's an experience. And also, if you want to watch them go trounce Dallas again, that trip is also available. Talk about a great early Christmas present or a birthday or anniversary or anything. Go out. Dallas is a cool trip. I'm just going to be honest. We all know we hate Dallas, but we know it's a cool trip to get to. All that and more. They have a lot of things lined up. Flyers trips, Phillies trips. They're even going out to London to watch the Phillies take on the Mets in June of 2024. So much more. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com. And thanks to Brooks for joining us tonight. Answered a lot of questions. But tonight, we're going to go a little bit more into it. Right now, for those who are watching, we're going to jump on the Sixers topics real quick. Because
they're winning.
They're winning. They're winning right now, and we're looking at, let's see, the game is 10 points up, 97-87 Sixers with about a little less than 5 minutes left in the game.
Ooh, this defense, man.
Yeah, about 440 left in the game. So if you're following at home, keep an eye. We will keep you guys up to date. But that, Joe, you said it right there. There has been certain things that blatantly missed. And I this is a day I wish we had Freddie with us because I know he'd probably be going off right now.
Oh, yeah.
The hustle, the depth, and the defense. And, we watched a team like the Celtics bring up like a Porzingis in.
Yeah.
Bring a Drew Holiday in.
Did you have any idea that Porzingis is 37 years old?
I knew he was older. I didn't think he was 37.
I heard it on the radio on my way over here to the studio. 37 years old.
Wow.
I can't believe that.
Then you have game time in
Milwaukee.
But like, look at the thing. That listen, it's early on. I'm not getting super excited right away.
I am. I'm 6
But that's the thing is like we made jokes in our internal conversations. With the whole.
They've helped me move on from the Philly season. I'll be totally honest about that.
That's fair. It's fair. And here's the other thing is the team is likable. Is a term that we've been using. Like there's a chemistry. I mean, think about it. It has been drama upon drama since Ben Simmons, the second year of Ben Simmons here.
Finally, some fresh air.
He was gone. We brought in James. Okay, he can shoot. He's a little bit of a head case, but so was Ben. If Ben can shoot, we would be cool like that. Well, Ben couldn't shoot. They moved on, and then the James Harden drama came on. It's just like this team's playing looser, and guys like nope. Listen, let's be honest, Joe. Is Kelly Oubre on your radar?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, no, not at all, Al. No, but like seriously, he wasn't on. And what they're paying him barely almost league minimum, right? It's not, a little bit more, but not by
barely
much.
Nothing.
And then they made the trade for guys like Batum, Morris Jr., who's a Philly native. Who else did they get in that trade? I'm trying to remember. Who am I forgetting?
They got Batum.
Morris.
They got Morris. They got KJ Martin. They got Rocco.
Oh, Rocco. Yeah,
and they got draft picks.
And they got draft picks too. So like,
I had to say slow, so I know I hit every point of it.
I mean, I have to say early on, the Sixers seem like the winner in that one to me. We don't have to deal with James and stuff. We get to see what we have with some young guys who aren't costing us a lot. Because come next year, we might want to keep Kelly Oubre around, and we're not going to have to. We have the money, but we're not going to spend.
Oh, they're going to have money,
and you're not going to spend superstar money to keep him here. I don't think.
Probably not superstar money, but he'll be getting a raise. Oh, show.
Oh yeah, I mean, but a raise.
Break this open, baby.
If he's getting paid 5 times the amount he's going to hit, still cheap in the NBA,
right?
You know, I mean, the guy's barely making what under $2 million. I think it is
something like that, 1.9.
Yeah,
right around that.
So if he's making $10 million in the NBA, that's that's thin money.
Yeah,
I mean, Maxi's going to have to get paid.
True,
that's coming up. And they'll still have enough money to maybe sign a superstar if they need it. Maybe they're Joe. Are they finding out? Is with Nick Nurse at the helm, allowing everybody to get time? B-ball Paul, even Korkmaz has been stepping up, and Korkmaz. There was rumors he wanted to go in the trade to LA.
He wants to go in every trade to every team.
He wants out of
ever
Philly.
talked about.
Yeah, he wants out of Philly.
He's been requesting trades since 2018. And for whatever reason, they just keep turning him down. I don't get it.
Is it them, or is they just not getting anything for him? Nobody wants to take him on.
I mean, that is very possible. You're telling me that you don't think a second round draft pick in the next 2 drafts is worth Korkmaz if he wants out of here so badly?
I think the other teams are telling you
that. Yeah,
that's
true. Yeah, you might have a point.
I mean, let's be honest, they weren't using him much at all.
Right.
I mean, the only time they used him if they were getting blown out or if they were blowing somebody out. That was the only time. Korkmaz, and I wouldn't blame a guy for not wanting to be here. You want to play,
right?
You want to make money. You want to get a contract. I get it, and he's not getting any younger, so I get it. He's like, well, I'm not going to play. They keep bringing in superstars and who are has-beens or should have never was-beens or whatever it was. But I mean, just looking at the trade for a second, the L.A. the Clippers, is it a retirement home now?
I think
is
so.
the average age 37 or something?
I don't even know what the record is right now.
I'll pull it up for you.
Sure.
But I mean, I know he did. They didn't his first game. He didn't have a great coming out party.
Yeah, but that's to the surprise of nobody.
Nobody. The Clippers are in 7th at 3-3.
Okay.
They're at 500 right now, and I'll pull up
whoever their GM is, or if the owners wanted to make they should be fired on the spot. They really should. What has Russell Westbrook done recently? Nothing. What has James Harden done? He's had 2 playoff games where he's shown up in his career.
Well, and he got Kawhi Leonard, but
Kawhi, whatever.
Stay on the court, Leonard.
George Paul, whatever his name, two first name guy, whatever.
But I'm saying all those guys are the youngest guys, 33.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's too old to play, but it's too old to have as your main core.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the Sixers got younger. They have guys that they're trying out. Is this kind of a mad money year for you, Joe? For them, you mean? They had Daryl Morey on the pregame show, by the way. Here, I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Daryl Morey, he's probably taking a victory lap right now because he's looking like a genius.
But should he be?
No,
because it was the NBA and the owners who pushed this trade along.
Yeah.
So even though he may be taking a victory lap, he probably shouldn't. But what this does, the way that this team is playing, is this just takes all the weight off of his shoulders at the current moment. So he doesn't have to go out there and try and push to get, air quotes, a superstar in return for these new, these new assets that they got in the trades and the second rounds and the swaps and whatever it is. This team is playing well. They have, at this moment, not a need for anything. They're a couple minutes away from taking down the Celtics, who they have had such a hard time beating past 5 years.
Yeah.
And now look at it. It's on home court, but it's 102-87 at the current moment. About just over 3 minutes left. This is a really great win.
Yeah.
From a really really good team.
Their was 1 point by a Bucks team.
By the Bucks.
Who has Dame Lillard.
Exactly. They could be easily undefeated right now. Maybe I shouldn't say easily because they did lose by 1.
Yeah.
But hey, that was their first game playing with Nick Nurse and with Patrick Bev and not even.
No, I'm gonna say, but those guys just joined, so they only played the first time. I think Monday night was some of their first.
Batum was the last one to start playing with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was almost a completely different team. That first game, and they lost by 1. They were down big. They fought to the end. They were in these games every single game fighting. Like Fred put it on Twitter the other day that they were up 141 to 114 or whatever, and you're still seeing the hustle. Al, you just said it minutes ago. The hustle, the defense, the pick and rolls, the transition, everything. Everything.
There, man.
Yes. Everything is clicking until the very, very end. And this is what we've been waiting for years. They do not have to go out and get a Zach LaVine or enter name here. This team is the team we need to go forward with. Just save the assets for when Embiid needs to, get traded in 3 or 4 years.
Well, but that's my thing is we were talking about transition defense issues since Brett Brown.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Doc at all. But you had Brett Brown, who was too nicey nice with the superstars, and you had Doc Rivers, who was too this is who's going to win this. I don't care about like. Here's my thing: is I think the biggest thing to come out of the Sixers right now is Maxi's getting his chance to shine because Maxi's always been the third or fourth wheel. We've known he's been good, but he's always been the third or fourth wheel.
And you are 100% right. But there's already assets to this game that you could say. You could look at Tobias and how well he's playing. Look at Oubre, who is now on his 5th or 6th team, and how he is shining. And this is all, in my opinion, because of they have a new coach who can really coach.
Yeah.
Who can really coach. I mean, it's finally. And people wanted to say, oh, maybe Nick Nurse wasn't the guy. And I agree. There was definitely a question mark. But you can see the difference in this team now compared to what they were last year. And maybe it was because of the distractions of Ben Simmons and then James Harden. But you can look at this team right now and know that you can tell that they're out there having fun.
And they're buying in.
And they're buying into the system, 100%.
I mean, like, we've made fun of Nick Nurse playing against him.
Sure.
I mean, times
of course.
Whining and crying a lot.
He wasn't Philly. Why wouldn't I?
No, but I mean.
Guess what? He is now Philly.
And
I love Nick Nurse.
Yeah, but like, he is, this team is buying in on it. It's a chemistry thing. Nobody feels like they're going to lose their job to somebody. Nobody, nothing like that. Right now, it's 104-95. Celtics have hit a couple shots.
It's going to be tough going down the stretch.
Yeah, 135. So the Sixers kind of have to clamp things down and try not to make any silly mistakes. But we'll keep you guys going along because we're going to talk about this. But tonight, we're going to do something different we haven't done in a while, Joe.
Yes.
We're going to do our power rankings. We're going to get into that. But let's change gears real quick for a moment. But guys, I remind you, sometimes life happens, right? And workers' comp happens. Work injuries happen. Motor vehicle injuries happen. Personal injuries happen. Criminal law issues happen. David R. Cherry is the man with the plan to help you get the justice you deserve. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com for the Cherry firm or call him directly at 565-0300, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell Dave Cherry that EoP sent you. Guys, speaking of EoP, check out this amazing lineup here. I know I made it a little bright this week. It's a really bright one. But a lot coming up. Some new shows. We have watch parties going on right now. We got a lot of coverage for you guys from Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, even the Union tonight are playing in their playoffs. So we'll have some coverage for that later tonight.
Let's start at 7. Do we have an update on that? Sorry, after this, let's check an update.
Yeah, I'll check on an update for that. And the Union guys, the attacking third guys, will be having that for you. But I want to jump in and talk a little Phillies with you real quick. And we'll keep you going until, because we have about another minute left. Let's see here. I have my notes if I would.
You know what, real quick, I want to touch on the Union and something else that I've been watching is, Wrexham. Yeah, the AFC.
Yeah.
I just started watching
1-0 Union.
Okay, great.
I can't tell you anything else because I don't understand.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I just started watching
the time left. I don't know what that means.
89. Okay, well then
89 seconds or
89 minutes. They play 90 total, so there's only a minute left in full regulation, and then it depends on stoppages.
There's
and
a red card.
There's a red. Okay, maybe I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But I started watching this documentary on it's from FX, I believe, but I'm watching on Hulu, and it's about Rob McElhenney, who is from Philadelphia. We all know him from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and of course, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and all the other great movies. And I feel like I'm buying into this team who is out there, and it's like a Welsh team, or it's in Wales.
Yep.
But it's funny because Rob McElhenney is Philadelphia, always Sunny in Philadelphia Eagles nut. He created one of their jerseys in midnight green for the Eagles.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool, and the documentary is great. And I'm just
is it a show or
it is? I'm saying documentary. It's like a docuseries.
It's not like made up. It's
no. It's real. Yeah. Oh, it is absolutely real, and I recommend it to a lot of people.
I'll check it out.
But what's bothering me about it is I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it so much. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm a fan of this team now. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. We have the Philly Union right here. And for whatever reason, I can't really buy into them. But now I'm buying into this Welsh team.
It's like soccer for me. I tried watching them when they were making their championship run the other year.
I watched that. Yeah.
I watched it. I'm sitting there like,
I mean, I get it.
It's not my cup of tea. I'm not making fun of soccer. I know we got a lot of soccer fans.
I keep trying.
We got a ton of soccer fans here. Our guys here at the attacking third.
Yeah, they do a bang-up job.
Pat and Austin and Diego. all those guys.
But that's why it's so great that we have those guys.
Yes.
Because this is such a big, or it's turning into such a big staple of Philadelphia area sports.
Mm-hmm.
And here you and I are far into it, and these guys are so dedicated and do such a great job at covering this stuff that we can only do anything but sit here and thank them. Because they do such great coverage, and to your point, like I watch their post games, I read the articles, and I'm like, what is it? You know, like I am trying though. I'm trying to buy into it. So for some reason, I think I'm a bigger fan of the Wrexham club than I am of the Union.
I think you're a fan of the guys who own it.
I'm definitely a fan of the guys that own it.
I mean,
but the Kelly Green. I looked up on their website today to see if they still had the Kelly Green soccer football, whatever you want to call them,
football.
I think they're called like kits or something. Like they call their uniforms kits.
Yeah.
So I even went on there to see if they had the midnight green kits to see if I could buy one, and all the pricing was in
pounds.
It was in pounds, and I'm like, I'm getting it way over my head here.
It's funny you say that. And by the way, Joe, I know they're not gonna be able to see, but look over on the coat hanger right by the front door there.
Is that mine?
I brought yours in for you. You ask and you shall receive.
The funny thing is I noticed it over there, and I was like, I should probably ask if that's mine.
Yes,
but I know you have one.
So for those who don't know, like not the Dallas game, but the game before, they do giveaways.
Yeah.
This year, the week there was a flag, like a kind of camo-ish flag. I haven't brought it in yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna start. I have a ton of stuff.
I got stuff I got to bring in here.
We got to start hanging it up. But it is a pennant, a Kelly Green with the old Eagle Miller Lite pennant that they gave away. Not the last, but the last home game. What was it?
Dallas?
No, what was the last game? Oh, the Vikings game.
Yeah.
Because that was the last game I was at. Yeah. The Eagles-Vikings game. So that's what we were talking about. But so we're going to talk a little Phillies real quick before the end of the Sixers game so we can jump into that. And then we're going to end tonight off. We're going to do our bye-week power rankings of the entire NFL. And Joe and I will do it live on the air with you guys. If you want to join in, put your 2 thoughts in. We're going to agree upon it. It's not Joe's power rankings and Al's power rankings. It's going to be Joe and Al's power rankings. And then we'll go through that. And then, guys, we'll
and you can hang your hat on these power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we're never wrong.
No.
But real quick, a couple of Phillies topics is real quick. Dombrowski has said Bryce Harper. None of this shocking, by the way. No. Bryce Harper is the first base starter going into next year, and Schwarber will be the DH starter going into next year. Meaning, most likely, which we all kind of thought was going to happen, the end of Rhys Hoskins. There's just no place for him, Joe.
I totally agree. And when I was reading it and making the post earlier, like I had this bit of sadness come over me because even though 2 years ago I'm screaming saying that Rhys Hoskins was a defensive liability in the World Series, that's why they lost. And then it comes to the injury where he didn't play last season. And it's almost like we've all been waiting for this. And some of us have even been rooting for this. But still, there's still a part of it that is sad to me because he, along with somebody else who may be leaving the roster, they're the longest tenured Phillies. When you look back on, the past 7-8 years, these are the guys who went through, dare I say, the process of the Phillies, coming back to, winning baseball, playoff baseball. And now here, I mean, I will bring up Aaron Nola, but talking about Rhys, a bit of sadness comes over me knowing that there's a really good chance he is not back in the pinstripes again. And I mean, the first little inkling of it was when, of course, he doesn't get the qualifying offer to where if he signs with another team, then they get a draft pick. But I mean, it's just the overall feel like you may have a completely different sense of this. But to me, knowing that it's about to happen, I'm a little bit sad about it, even though I was pushing for it. It's kind of hard to gauge at this moment.
I think part of it's the injury and how things went down with his last year.
Yeah.
He didn't get to go out on a swan song or earn his spot to stick around.
True. That's big. Because if he doesn't get hurt, Bryce doesn't play first base.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the proof in the pudding right there that the injury put it over the top.
Sometimes it's just nobody should ever lose their job to injury, but sometimes the circumstances are what they are.
But the replacement also isn't always Bryce Harper. So.
That is also, and they are good friends, so that's got to suck for him too.
I know, and I'm sure it's hard for Bryce too, because the decision, in my opinion, ultimately does come down to him and did come down to him. Even Dombrowski kind of throwing Bryce under the bus, saying we're going to have a heart-to-heart with him, seeing if he wants to remain the first baseman. So it probably wasn't fair for Dombrowski to put that out in the media like that. But ultimately, it does kind of come down to Bryce Harper.
I think what he meant to say is Bryce, do you think you could do this full time before we I'm not going to make the decision for you. You got to tell me you can do it. But what's nice about it for Reese is if he wants to come back to town, he go to sherrystickets.com and check out and get great prices, no hidden fees. He won't get bamboozled. I'm sure he'll be able to afford it anyway. Even if you want to go to a concert or theater, they have it for him. No matter where he ends up, he can go to sherrystickets.com and save 10% off by using that great promo code EoP10. Right, EoP10 will save you 10% off.
There are guys. There are guys where we say, "Oh, if he ever comes back to Philadelphia, he'll never pay for a beer. He'll never pay for a meal." But if it's Brees Hoskins when he comes back to town, we send them right over to sherrystickets.com and get some Phillies tickets.
I saved him 10%. You're welcome. And it is final. Came down to the wire. 106-103. The Sixers are 6-1.
That's a big win.
They beat the Celtics at home, which has been a hard thing for them to do at home or away. It is a big one, and I think people are going to start now taking this Sixers team.
They should.
Seriously. And we're going to get a little bit more into that, but there will be a Sixers post-game show coming up as well here on EoP, as well as the Union one passed after that one. But into it real quick. Joe, I feel what you feel. Like, it sucks the way it went down, but it is a business in the long run. And I really do like Reese. Every time you talk about Reese, I love Reese Hoskins. I respect him. But always the but, it's business. The other one, Aaron Nola, he made a qualifying. They threw it all. They kind of Jason Worth offered him, like, we're not going to give you what you know you're going to get. But,
I mean, is he delusional though? His starting is $30 million.
No,
and his starting is for 7 years.
No, he's not. He's not, because somebody's going to pay him.
I know.
He's not here. If he's delusional if he thinks it's going to be in Philly. He's not delusional because you're going to get somebody who's going to look at what he did in the playoffs, even though he had a big clunker at the end. They're going to look past that and see the guy has the caliber. Maybe a change in scenery is going to make him happy. A new uniform will make him happy. I don't think that's the case.
Right.
I think him staying in Philly will be the best case for him. But we're not going to be able to afford him at the price that he wants to be here for.
I don't even know if it's the affordability. I just don't think it's smart business.
No, it's not. And you can't lock a guy like him. I mean, he's not a youngster. He's not old, but he's not a youngster either. I mean, they're looking at Sonny Gray right now. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
We can offer him 5 years.
Blake Snell they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys that are top prospects or top candidates are in the older, above 30 range. I mean, Snell's only about 31.
31, I believe. 31.
But look at Sonny had a good year. He was 8-8, but he's on the Twins. I know it wasn't like anything to write about.
Yeah, but he did finish with like a 2.8 ERA. So I mean,
2.79, 1.15.
I mean, Nola's what 4.3 or so. I mean,
he had a pretty steady year, more than Nola had a more up and down year.
Right.
I mean, but you can't take away what Nola did in the playoffs, except for when it came down to But if you had a second person, a Blake Snell, a Sonny Gray with Nola, and
I said grab both of them.
and I'm wondering if you extend, if you can without killing yourself, do you extend Zach Wheeler?
You see, I think that is such an important question because
I think you answer that before anything else.
I've seen people on social media say, all right, well, if Reese is gone, then you have his money that you could throw towards Aaron Nola. Well, okay, even if Aaron Nola comes down a smidge in his price to somewhere 25, 26, 27, whatever it is, you're not going to have Zach Wheeler on the back burner the next season and give him 30 plus. Like, you can't afford to pay all these guys $30+ million per season. Now, I understand that they just made, the first big signing with Bryce Harper, but then even just last year's with Trey Turner, both in the 30s. I mean, they're not going to continue to do that every single season. In between those two signings, they had Castellanos and they had Schwarber, both right around 20. So, I mean, that's where they kind of like came down a bit on role players, not the top free agents of Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. So I don't think they're going to go out there, spend big money on a pitcher right now. They're going to have some filler, in my opinion. I do think Aaron Nola walks because they need to think about Wheeler for the next season.
Well, let me ask you this question. This is Wheeler's last season on the current contract. Yeah. He's what, 32? He'll be 33 by next
Something
season?
Like that. He shows no signs of slowing down, though.
No, he doesn't, but you still have to worry about it sooner or later. Somebody will.
The Andrew Painter injury, I think, really screwed them this season. Yeah. Because
33.
Then
he's 33 now. He will be let's see what the date of birth is. Say May. Well, May he'll
the
be
Andrew
34.
Painter injury really screwed them this season because they don't have that ace in the hole to where it's like, okay, well, Painter's up. We know that he can kind of take on a similar, role that Aaron does if he walks. No, Andrew Painter's already out for next season. So there is that big question mark. Mick Abel, you don't know what he's going to be doing. Like, I guess I don't know.
I'm not worried about the month per year, but what is your, for a guy's going to be 34 next year in the last year of his contract? What many years are you willing to extend Zach Wheeler?
Oh, Zach Wheeler? Oh, I thought you were going to ask Aaron. Zach Wheeler, I'd give him I'd probably give him 4 with like a club or vesting option for 5.
Or because somebody's going to offer Zach Wheeler money. He earned it.
I know that. Yeah. But if it comes down to giving Wheeler the bloated contract opposed to Nola the bloated contract, I'm going Wheeler every single time. There's no question about it.
All right, let's see. Hit the comments here. I think we got one.
Here's a bigger question: is Ranger Suarez a number 2?
Wait. Steven said, I can't enjoy that Sixers win now. It's like the Eagles. Why? Because it got close.
Because it got close to the end.
They kind of. That's basketball, though. I mean, you're playing again a rival team. You beat the Celtics. They were in control for most of the game. I can't beat them up on that. I really can't. Steven, enjoy it. Stop.
Yeah, we gotta stop overthinking these things. We gotta
stop. Yeah, like we talked about. Like, all right, we're 8-1. Yeah, we haven't blown anybody out, but somebody said to me not too long ago. Said, "Listen, we are the defending NFC champions.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the Chiefs, nobody has done anything better last year than we did." So yeah, we're on everybody's radar. We're gonna get everybody's best. We played well. So same thing here. Sixers, nobody expected anything from. They won. They're 6-1 on the season. I know it's early in the season. We haven't even played 10 games, but you played some good teams, not so good teams. But you played the Celtics. You hung in with them the entire time. They came down. They had a little run on us. They came right back, put a run on them. Like the game of runs. We literally said that. They got a little high in the hog when we were up 11 points. Let it kind of drizzle back. But good teams may have that happen, but a good team puts a team away, and that's what the Sixers did. They put a good team away. So enjoy it. It was a momentum collapse led by Joe, turnover under intensity again. I mean, listen, I'm not going to fight you on that part of it because, to be honest with you, we're doing the show, so I can't really keep my eye on the game as much as I normally would. But just enjoy the win. Enjoy it, Steven. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. Enjoy it tonight. Let's see where the next 10 games gets us before you can start worrying about those type of things. So right now, Steven, I know you're like to chime in, so I'm sure we'll be hearing from you. So me and Joe, we're going to switch gears here. We are going to go into our power rankings for the NFL live here. Yes, we're doing it live on air because that's what we do.
Can I just mention that Taryn Hatcher is on the screen and showing. Should give a dog a bone.
Oh my God! So right now on the screen, you'll see me and Joe right there in the tiny little left-hand corner. But you'll see there's no ranking right now. I just got to put them in order by their divisions and throw them in there.
New England, number 1.
Yeah, New England is number 1 overall. So Joe, I'm thinking it'd be easier to go get your top 5. Doesn't have to be exact order, but get your top 5.
Yeah, we can do that.
So New England definitely not in there. So I'm going to move them off to the side for a minute. Miami and Buffalo in your top 5.
I don't think so.
Here's the thing: is we can always move people.
Yeah,
so you
can
say leave them for there now. Definitely not the Jets.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, are we going by the eye test? Or are we going by ranking? I mean, are we going by record? Like
that's why in front of you I gave you.
Yeah.
This is this week's capsule.
I got a pad of about 100 pages that I'm supposed to flip through.
32. So you can look at their record. You can look at their upcoming record. You can look how they won. Let's just get the good. Let's separate the good from the bad. So Miami and Buffalo are good. Baltimore stays in there. Cleveland's probably like middle of the road right now. Move them up to the side for a second.
First off, just get the Eagles up on the top, okay?
All right. Are we all going to agree that the Eagles are number 1 overall right now?
You have to. They got the number 1 record in all the league.
All right. So we'll put them up there.
Until somebody knocks them down, then I'm not worried about it.
I mean, Jacksonville only lost 2 games. Come close to your top 10.
Oh, right yeah.
In Tennessee, Kansas City, of course, we'll move them up in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit,
yeah, Detroit's up there for sure.
What do we got here?
You got to move San Fran.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're in 8 right now, so let's shift some down. You
got to move San Fran and Seattle.
Oh, Dallas. What about Dallas?
You got to put Dallas up there.
Over here. So you got your top 11 right now so far.
That's Not to say that 11 is in order. I'm saying
That's
the top 11.
Top 11. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's shift. Let's talk, Joe. Let's go back and forth on this.
You know what? I would even put Washington under Dallas.
Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Lions. Bill Ian is saying that's his. I guess that's your top 5.
Top 5. Okay.
It's not terrible. I'm not.
Yeah. You got to move the Chiefs to number 2.
All right. So let me go back over to this. So moving on. Second, Chiefs going to go up.
I would move the Chiefs to number 2. I would move. Ooh, this is getting tough already. This is already getting tough.
Is Cincy right now, knowing how much they've come back? Look, I'm looking at them right now. Cincinnati. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They struggled coming out the gates. A little injury with Joe Burrow, but since then, since the 3rd game, they've only lost 1 game, and they beat Seattle, they beat San Fran, and they beat Buffalo.
I would put at the current moment Baltimore above Buffalo.
You would Cincy above Baltimore?
No.
Okay, Baltimore.
I think the Lions have to be up there somewhere. Maybe Lions top 5.
All right, so is Cincy or Buffalo
I would put
above Detroit? I think so. Right now.
Wait, I'm sorry, who?
So I would say Cincinnati's above Detroit at this point. I have to admit.
I wouldn't. Just because of how I would put Miami. I'm sorry, I would put Jacksonville, Miami, or Detroit above Cincinnati.
I'll have to disagree on the Miami. I think Miami is a paper tiger right now. They're just top 10 because there's a big drop off afterwards. They're those teams that beat bad teams but can't beat good teams.
But to your logic, you're almost saying that Miami shouldn't be up there because they got off to a hot start and they've cooled off. But you're saying Cincinnati should be up there because
your current power rankings.
Okay.
Your current power rankings.
I would.
All right, let me
I think I would put Detroit, Jacksonville.
You're gonna put Detroit under Baltimore above?
I would put Jacksonville under Baltimore. I think.
You're really gonna go? I think Jacksonville has improved enough to me. Look again. That's why I gave these sheets. Let's look at that. Jacksonville. They only lost the Kansas City Chiefs and they lost to the Houston Texans. But then again, they beat Atlanta. They beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Well, actually, that was in Germany. That was a Germany.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
Well,
or England or whatever.
I mean, it's a Jaguar, so it's technically a home game for them.
Yeah.
However they do that crap.
Indy, the Colts, and the Steelers, and they're coming off their bye to play San Fran this week.
Okay.
Honestly, I think, in my opinion, top 5, and you probably can adjust the last 3 around a little bit. I would put Cincy up there, and I would put I would put Dallas up there. Unfortunately, I know
in the top 5.
No,
they're 5-3.
Who?
Dallas.
No, I'm sorry. I would put Cincy, the Niners, Dallas, Miami. That's kind of where I'm at right now in my head.
So you would keep the.
Here, I'll show you, and then we can always move it around. So Cincy, San Fran, even though they are struggling a little bit right now. Just Dallas here.
Right, but if you're saying that the rankings are about current rankings, then Dallas and the 49ers should be up there.
There's a bit of an eye test here. It's a bit of an eye test, too. Like, how do I think they're going to be moving forward, too? Like, if these teams were to go up against each other, who should have the upper hand?
I think Detroit's way too low.
Chargers, Dolphins, Jags, 49ers, Cowboys. Chargers, You have the Chargers? I do not have the Chargers that high up.
No, Detroit. I think Detroit's way too low.
I don't think Detroit's... I'm not leaving Detroit there. I think Detroit's over Miami.
Yeah, me too.
So I could easily...
I think Detroit's over Dallas and the Niners.
Okay, we'll go with that. I'll go with that. I'm not going to disagree with it because I don't... there's not a strong enough argument.
But how do you keep Jacksonville out of... How do you put them lower than San Fran and Dallas?
Well, I got to look at who they beat, too. I look at that.
I know, but if you're looking at records, I mean, they have...
I'm looking at their records, but I'm also looking who they beat, and how well they played and all that stuff. Jacksonville struggled to play against
all right, okay.
Because, Jacksonville couldn't beat the Saints, so you're going to put the Saints above them?
Yeah, you make a point.
I think right now Jacksonville hasn't proved to me enough that they are that high up.
Wow, man. Miami's really dropped.
I think Miami's barely in the top 10.
So would you go Dallas, Jacksonville, Seattle, Miami? Or would you go... No.
So
oh, my God. We still have the Bills.
Oh, yeah, the Bills have to get them in there.
Jesus.
But the Bills also, they're every bit of 5-4 right now, bud.
Yeah.
So I'm okay keeping them top 10, maybe into 11 or 12. How about this? Leave it alone for right now. We got Detroit, San Fran, Dallas.
I would put Detroit, Buffalo, 49ers, Dallas.
So you say Buffalo between Detroit and
Buffalo
San Fran?
between Detroit and San Fran. And then I would go Jacksonville, Miami, Seattle.
Where am I missing?
Third row at the bottom.
There you go. Jackson. So you're saying Jacksonville,
Miami, Seattle.
Yeah, because Seattle's also struggled too against better teams. That's why I look at Miami.
Yeah.
Then it kind of gets a little washy here.
It really does.
Like, here's my thing is I think at the bottom you leave the Giants just to get the bottom dwellers out of the way for a minute. You don't have to put them in order just yet. Chicago, bottom dweller. New England's getting close to the bottom dweller right now, right? Washington. You Washington as a bottom? No,
I would put Washington probably top.
Who are your next five, Joe? Like your mediocre teams. Like, is Minnesota in there? Even though they're down, they're down Kirk Cousins and all that.
Tell you what, man, Jets ain't that bad.
I might put the Saints here.
What page do I have all these teams' records here?
It's at the bottom of each one. You'll see it says like Jacksonville, the top right hand corner, and then the bottom left corner is all their current records. I have them highlighted on this one if you want to look at it. Just look for their matchup and you'll see at the top.
Okay.
Let me ask this question: Is the Rams to me have become bottom dwellers? I mean, they had to bring in Carson Wentz. Let's be honest. Carolina, bottom dweller.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
I can see
Cleveland and New Orleans. You go first.
I like Washington above the Saints, though.
Above the rest of the NFL.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I think Sam Hale is actually pretty good.
I'm not saying he's not, but I'm also not buying a Sam Hale jersey. Not that I would anyway, but sorry guys. It's annoying. Why won't this go away? There you go. All right, so let me move this out of the way for a second. So you're putting Washington.
I would put Washington there.
Even over Cleveland?
Yeah.
All right. Denver.
I mean, listen, Washington gave the Eagles two really
How about
tough.
Tampa?
Tampa's kind of come back down. I think Minnesota isn't that bad. I mean, I know that they started off awful, but I mean, they're still getting it done with
the Chargers. The Chargers are to me the biggest enigma because they have such a good offense, but they still are they're what 4-5 or 5-4,
something like that.
I mean, let me see. This is why I love doing this live on the air because this is what we do with Joe and I just sit there and rock our heads. They're 4-4 because they had their bye week already.
Who's that?
The Chargers.
The Chargers.
They lost to Dolphins. They lost to Tennessee. They lost to Dallas. And they lost to the Chiefs. But they beat the Bears, the Jets, Minnesota, and Vegas.
Yeah, they beat Vegas the other night, right?
Yeah.
What was that, Monday? What are we? This is Wednesday.
So I'll leave the Chargers above. They lost to Minnesota, we said, right? No, they beat Minnesota. Even with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins.
I feel like the Jets got to be in there in that second row.
They might be close to it. I mean, I think the Saints are above the Jets.
Wait, no. No, Chargers beat the Jets the other night.
Yeah. So do you do Chargers over Minnesota?
Yeah.
Do you do Chargers over Cleveland?
Yes.
So this has got to come down. Do you do Cleveland over Minnesota?
No, I do Minnesota over Cleveland.
Okay. Do you do any of these other teams over Cleveland? Saints would be the only one I would possibly think of right now.
I'm telling you, I think I would put the Jets in there.
Let's see. Let's go to the comments for a second.
All right.
Chargers, Dolphins, Jags, 49ers, Cowboys, Arizona on the bottom. Actually, right now, yeah, they are. They're 1-8.
Yeah.
I actually pick them to win this week, though. Remember the one team they beat, though?
That would be the Dallas Cowboys.
That'd be the Dallas Cowboys. Arizona, New England, Chicago,
Yeah,
Carolina.
maybe we start working the other way.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Well, I'm moving them around at the bottom. He's saying at the bottom, Arizona, New England. So Arizona last, New England second. I think Chicago is worse off than New England. Carolina might even be worse off than them too.
Giants are down there.
Vegas is pretty jacked up too. Giants are down there. All right, let's get the middle of the road. So Tennessee, kind of middle of the road. Tampa Bay, middle of the road. LA, I think LA is going to go towards the back. Atlanta, which way would you go? Middle or back?
I would go middle.
Middle, okay. Houston, kind of
Houston's, I mean, CJ Stroud, I mean, this dude is playing.
Denver, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's sneaky wins thing.
Yeah, they're pretty sneaky.
Do you put them below Cleveland?
See, no, this is where I'm at. The Jets have to go if the Jets aren't below.
I'm not putting them the
Cleveland. I put Jets under Cleveland.
Just because their quarterback thing, I believe.
Well, you have to think of it. There's still a chance that Rodgers comes back.
Yeah, but they would have to go into like a second round of the playoffs to have that happen, at the very least. It's not going to happen before the end of the season.
Okay.
So they would have to make the playoffs. Do you have Jets above Tennessee?
I have the Jets. Yes.
Do you have the Jets above Tampa Bay?
No.
Wait, is it on the Tennessee you're saying that on?
I'm saying that on Tampa Bay. I would keep.
How about the Saints? Where do you put the Saints at this point? They're a little Jekyll and Hyde, I know, but they still have Derek Carr as a quarterback.
I would put the Saints where Tennessee is. And then I would keep Tampa Bay right there.
Move Green Bay down. Tennessee.
Green Bay there. I would put
Pittsburgh.
I could see Pittsburgh being there.
We can always move this around.
Try to
get like at least some sort of order here.
Atlanta, I think is good there.
Houston.
I like what Houston's doing. Yeah.
You like Indy or Houston above each other?
I like Houston above Indy.
Do you like?
And then
would you put Green Bay next?
Yeah, I can see that.
Now we're getting to the bottom dwellers. LA.
I would put. Yeah. See, because LA still has weapons. They still have Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
They still, they got Puka.
Tennessee.
Who the hell knows if Carson Wentz, if he plays? Who knows?
The resurgence of Carson Wentz. Let's see. Ian saying Jets are above Minnesota.
I want to argue that.
I mean, it's just Zach Wilson sucks. They got nobody. Actually, was it Tommy?
But they beat the Eagles. They have a good defense, and Zach Wilson actually looked pretty good the other night.
You beat one good team, and that doesn't make you a good team.
True. True.
That's like their Super Bowl, dude. That's their highlight,
and that's fine.
Do you put New England, then New York Giants, or Vegas? What goes next?
I think Giants are in the bottom 5.
Well, you are technically in the bottom 5 right now.
Yeah.
If you leave New England where it's at, it's in the bottom 5. Who's your bottom? Who's your bottom? Who's your bottom bitch?
Arizona.
And then Denver probably after. Right.
No, I think then the Giants. I would put Denver under New England.
Denver right here?
Yeah.
Because you have Russell Wilson?
I guess.
Chicago's in disarray as well.
Chicago.
Arizona,
yeah.
Carolina?
I can see that, yeah.
Giants here?
I would put the Giants above Carolina.
That's what they are right now. Carolina's number 2 in the second to last right
now. Okay.
So I'm going to put this right here as this. Okay?
Okay.
So that's not our final order, but that's a semi-organized final ranking. Let me go to the comments while you look that over, Joe.
Okay.
Ian, same ones. Ian saying Jets above. They're for the bottom 5. So let's just run through this together. Philly, KC, number 1 and 2. I think that's a lock it in, right? We can lock that one in.
Yes.
Baltimore over Cincy right now.
Yes.
Let me see something. I want to look at something for Baltimore.
I think Detroit goes above Cincinnati. I would maybe flip Buffalo and Cincinnati.
Buffalo and Cincinnati.
I think I would flip Buffalo and Cincinnati.
I'm trying to see something here. You're right. Too many papers. I'm just trying to see something here. What do we say? Baltimore. Here you go. Baltimore. So Baltimore only lost to the Colts in overtime and Pittsburgh Steelers, but that's a divisional game, so I take that with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Texans. They beat the Bengals in the beginning of the year. They beat the Browns in Cleveland. They beat the Titans. They beat the Lions in the last 3 games, the Cardinals in Seattle. I thought the Lions and Seattle really haven't beaten much in my eyes.
All right, let's do this. flip Detroit and Cincinnati, leave Buffalo where it's at because Cincinnati did just beat Buffalo.
So you want to move this here?
I would move Detroit ups and then put Cincinnati where Detroit is, and then I'm good with that first row.
So first row, you got Philly, KC 1, Philly 2, KC 3, Baltimore, Detroit 4, Cincinnati. Who would have thought? Bengals at 5, Buffalo at 6.
Your cousin Dave's on cloud 9.
Yeah, I know right now. His 2 favorite teams in the top 5. Niners at 6 or 7. At 7. Dallas at 8. Jacksonville at 9. Miami at. So, do you think in a matchup, Jacksonville versus Miami?
I know. I'm looking at that right now. I would have to put Miami.
Even with Miami being a paper tiger, I can't say that Jacksonville is a legitimate team yet either for the same reasons I said for the other ones.
You can switch Miami and Jacksonville.
See, but you think Jacksonville can beat Seattle?
I do.
Okay. You think Washington should be able to beat any one of these other teams, correct? Even though they gave up Chase Young.
I didn't even think of that.
And Montez Sweat.
Did not think of that.
I mean, the Chargers to me, I'll make you laugh. They're still too high up in my rank.
Really?
The only reason you can put a fight up over Minnesota is because Minnesota's missing Justin Jefferson. They're missing Kirk Cousins,
and they still won.
And they still won
week with Dobbs.
Who would have thought not having Justin Kirk Cousins around would have helped that team out? Oh, this guy.
That's insane. But so you're saying Chargers over Skins, or you like where they are?
I think the Chargers can beat them, but the Chargers beat themselves too. That's the problem. The Chargers they're almost like the Dallas Cowboys. They just shoot themselves in the foot constantly. You know what I mean?
Who would have thought that they'd be 500?
Yeah. Who would have thought the Jets losing would have been right here?
Right. I agree, but they were in a battle of mediocre. Who can get to 500? So I mean, the Chargers are sitting right there at 4-4, but the Jets had the chance to go 500 against those Chargers the other night.
Yeah. So maybe where you could
the Jets did beat the Chiefs week 1.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. This is the first game of the season.
Detroit beat the Chiefs week 1.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the Jets.
Yeah, remember Kelsey wasn't in, and Detroit came back and won it all. Yeah. Look at your papers. Detroit, here we go. Week 1. That's Los Angeles, sorry.
No. Well, then, all right, then who did the Jets play first one?
That was the Buffalo game. They beat the Bills.
They beat Buffalo, okay.
Remember, they had that's when he got hurt. That's when.
Yeah.
And they ran the ball back.
Sorry. I thought they beat Buffalo. I thought they beat the Chiefs. Same thing.
No, not the same thing. Because the Bills are not the Bills.
Okay, well, here.
The Bills. I will make an argument.
But we still have them in the top 7.
That's what I was going to say. I would make an argument that San Fran and Dallas are both above the Bills. I think Dallas can beat the Bills, and if San Fran can right the ship a little bit, I think they can beat the Bills. The only reason San Fran is above Dallas in my eyes right now is because they won, but they're on a 3-game skid right now.
Yeah, San Fran did beat the Bills, and they're both 5-3.
Yeah, I'm doing this in my eyes. And tell me, we can move it back. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, then what's the point of moving if we can move it
so
back?
You can sometimes seeing it. You know what I mean? Sometimes seeing it.
I mean,
Buffalo beat Miami.
I wouldn't fight you on it.
Buffalo did beat Miami. They're divisional teams. Being close isn't hard to believe. But Miami
You got to give the Jets some credit, though. They beat the Bills and Philly. But they beat the Bills before the Bills were on their skid.
True. But they also, listen, I think that was a little gut check with the whole losing Brett Favre. And that was
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, but you're right. What's the difference? Yeah. What is the difference? A Green Bay Packer who went to the Jets.
Little Brett. I mean, I get it, Joe, but at the same time, like, do you see the Jets making the playoffs?
Yeah, I could.
I don't.
Yeah, but you got to look at who's in their division.
Well, let's look at what they have coming up.
I mean,
let's look at the rest of I should have put this in order. I do have an order by the game that they're playing this week. Do they play this? Yeah, they do play this.
I mean, you got to think Miami will win that division, but if Miami keeps, playing they're 1 or 2 injuries away from being bottom of the division, and then they have New England in there, and the Jets. The Jets could fight for the division.
They could because with Miami and the Bills being
They could fight for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
And they already have the tiebreaker against the Bills.
So this is what they have coming
or
up.
a tie. Or,
They already have their bye
one
week
game.
7, the Jets. They just beat the Giants after the bye week, and then they lost to the Chargers on Monday night, and by 27-6.
Maybe I'm a little sympathetic to the Jets because I really did feel
Here's their
for
upcoming
them
schedule.
in that Bills game.
This week they have the Raiders at Buffalo.
Possible win.
The Friday night game after Thanksgiving.
Black Friday.
That's Miami.
Okay.
Falcons, Texans, which that could be a good game. Again against the Dolphins. The Commanders, the Browns on the
They can win these games.
There's a Thursday night game on December 28th. Okay. And of course, the last game of the season. They'll be in New England.
Okay. They can win these games.
So you're saying there's a possibility. Let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left.
How many of them are division? Well, they got 5 more.
2 Bills. I mean, 1 Bill,
Mhm.
2 Dolphins,
Mhm.
and then New England. So 4 of them.
So 4 more.
Mm-hmm.
If they go 3-1, I mean, they could
So
fight for a division.
They go 2-2. That means they'll be 6-6,
Mhm.
and that would leave you with games against the Raiders, the Falcons, the Texans, and the Commanders and the Browns.
They could be 5-0 in those games.
All right, I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. I'm not fighting on it. I'm just saying the Chargers are the one that really hurts me because I don't see them making the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see them making the playoffs.
I honestly say you could probably shift to.
But I don't
again,
see
Minnesota's going to be. You're not getting Kirk Cousins back.
Right.
You might get Justin Jefferson, but I have a feeling they won't bring him back.
What's the point?
You're just going to possibly hurt him. So do you drop him down because of that reason?
But all right, if you're saying
you drop Minnesota down for that,
who?
reason.
All right, hold on. Who out of other than the Jets, who I think could make a playoff push? Who out of the rest of those teams you saying could win a
well, I mean,
not a division, but at least make it worthy of a race?
Well, here, if you want to say people who could make
obviously not Washington.
Either New Orleans could or Tampa could because their division's weak.
True.
I don't think Atlanta will. Definitely LA won't. Indy could be sneaky because that division's not that great either. Green Bay, I don't think does. Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee does. New England doesn't. Denver definitely. Giants definitely. Vegas definitely. Chicago definitely. Carolina definitely. And Arizona definitely. I mean, they're pretty much out of the runnings.
I mean, 16 teams make it, right? 8-8.
Yeah, because you have the second wild card,
right?
Now. And the bye. So those 2 teams don't play in the first week,
right?
So right now, the bye would be Eagle. If this ended like this was the rankings at the end of the season, we would be the 2 teams, and then Detroit, San Fran, and Dallas would be the other teams coming in. And Seattle, Seattle. Then Baltimore,
I mean, that
Cincinnati,
could be it. That could be it.
Buffalo, and Miami, and Jacksonville. So these teams and up could be Seattle and up could be the playoff seeds or playoff teams.
Washington will remain in the hunt.
Yeah, they'll bubble out.
The Chargers,
they'll fizzle out.
The Chargers, at 500 in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota,
I don't think they're in the hunt.
Probably not.
Cleveland, I think, will be in the hunt more than Minnesota.
That's all. I mean, they're also in a division with Pittsburgh, which is awful.
Pittsburgh and
the Bengals.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now because
Bengals are going to win that division.
I'm telling you right now. Oh, then you're going to say Baltimore's over them.
Yeah.
Well, and here's my thing: is we're talking about week 10. We're not talking about the end of the season.
True.
So right now, Baltimore's above Cincinnati,
mm-hmm.
but I think at the end of the day, they are not.
I can see that flipping.
But this is right now. This is what we're looking at. I'm actually kind of good with this. I'll be honest with you. I don't see anything that really like. I mean, you could tweak the bottom, like Carolina and Chicago could probably go back and forth.
I'm actually pretty okay with that. Actually, I would put Denver above the Patriots. I'm good with that.
Okay. So, for those who are paying attention, so we got number 1 overall power ranking will be your Philadelphia Eagles, then the Chiefs, Baltimore, Detroit, Cincinnati, San Fran, Dallas, Buffalo, Miami, and Jacksonville would round out the top 10.
You know what's wild?
Mm-hmm.
Is number 1 and number 2 play each other next week?
And that because I could flip this.
Absolutely could.
I mean, does next week pretty much solidify the supremacy of the NFL? Who is the top team in the NFL?
I can see that. Yeah.
Then you got your 11 to 20 or 11 to 19, whatever you want. Seattle, Washington, LA, Minnesota, Cleveland, Jets, Saints.
Let me ask you
Tampa
this.
Bay.
Let me ask you this, just on an Eagles front.
Hmm?
We already know the game's coming up. Like what's the fourth? The Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Dallas again.
Oh, that is Dallas, Seattle. It is Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Dallas, Seattle. Yes,
right. So just out of those four,
they go 3-2. Say they go 3-2.
How do they go 3-2? With I'd say out of those four.
Oh, you said 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5.
I'm not
That's
right.
5 teams.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Seattle. I'm
Okay.
talking about the three.
So they go 2-2. Let's say.
Right. Do you think? I mean, obviously, if they beat Dallas again, but say one of those losses is to Dallas.
Okay.
They win Chiefs, Bills, or Chiefs, Niners, or Bills, whatever combination it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the division is done?
If we beat Dallas, pretty much.
If the next four they go 2-2, if they're 8, or I'm sorry, if they're 10-3,
10-3
after those four,
oh yeah,
do you think it's a wrap?
Yeah,
regardless if Dallas beats them in one of the twos, one of the two losses.
So we're 10-3 no matter what, if it's Dallas or not Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
You're just saying at the end of the road, by
the time you hit Seattle, if you're 10-3,
by the time of week 15,
right, is the division wrapped?
Yes, because you're 4-1 at that point. So you're what, 13-4?
So yeah, so out of the next four,
13-4, yeah.
The worst we can do
that should win you the division
is 500, and I think that's doable.
The way that the NFL is playing out, because like there really isn't a team that is like, even the Eagles, who are dominant right now,
mm-hmm.
can be exposed in some ways. Like if you scheme against them right and the ball bounce, I mean, we say good teams win games, and the Eagles have done that, but sooner or later your luck could run out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, this NFL year is up for grabs in my eyes for the most part. There's enough. I mean, of the top 8, any one of those guys can win, but definitely the top. I would say if I had to pick 2 teams from each conference right now, in my eyes, who could win the Super Bowl or could go to the Super Bowl,
mm-hmm.
representing the AFC, definitely Kansas City and Cincinnati in my eyes. Representing the NFC, Philly. I just don't think Detroit's ready this year. I think they're going to make some
I can see that. I can see that.
I would say San Fran has a better chance of coming on and winning it. I think Detroit. This is not me being an Eagles fan. Dallas will shoot themselves in the foot. And if
Dallas has a very how our murderers row is right now.
There's at the
end of the season is Dallas's.
Yes. Yeah, they have a lot. They have a lot ahead of them because right now they go up against it's the Giants. Here it is. They play the Giants this week. The Panthers, the Commanders, who gave away, but that's a Thanksgiving game. And then they actually have another Thursday night game, which would be the following week, which would be then they go into the Seahawks, Philly, at Buffalo, at Miami, and Detroit. So they got 5 games, and 2 of the 5 are away, and then they have the Washington at the end of the season.
Where's the Thanksgiving game? In Dallas, I'm assuming?
Yeah. It's always in Dallas.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, and then Detroit has theirs, and then what's the other one?
I think Washington can beat Dallas. I really do.
I would. Here's my thing is, on Thanksgiving, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. I mean, again, it's that divisional game. And Eric Bieniemy is a very good offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he keeps it close with us. There's nothing to say he
can't
keep it close with Dallas. And listen, Bieniemy's playing for a job.
Oh, 100%.
Ron Rivera is not back next year, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I can't stand when the announcers call him Riverboat Ron. They just stroke these guys, especially when they're playing the Eagles. It's just
all right, well, that is our power rankings. I'm going to remove that.
Yep.
This new thing StreamYard did where they don't have the full screen automatically anymore. You got to create your own. It's ignorant.
SOBs.
But that is about it. We will put our power rankings out on social media tomorrow. Yeah. You guys can time along, agree or disagree. But other than that, I want to thank our sponsors, starting with Sherry'sTickets.com. Don't forget PhillySportsTrips.com, and of course CherryInjuryLaw.com. And guys, you can find us, of course, at all of the major social medias. You can go to Facebook. You can check us out on Instagram. Please subscribe to us on the Use to the Tubes. Don't forget Twitter at EoP Sports. Don't forget
That's YouTube for any of you people out there.
TikTok, Spotify.
Anybody with ears, that's YouTube. He means.
Yes, Spotify for all you podcast lovers out there. And then everything can be found at EOPsports.com. Greatest website right now out there, guys.
Oh, you best believe it.
According to us, the greatest website.
Only two that matter.
Yeah, that's right.
At this time slot on Wednesday nights.
Yes, exactly. But a big thank you to Brooks Kubena. I'm always going to Kubena from The Athletic for joining us. And like I said, if you really enjoyed him, you actually will get a chance to have him again because he will be back with Chet and Bill next week. I just probably broke the
news. Which was news to him.
Maybe he didn't know who they were when we were talking about it. But yeah. But I did talk to Chet. He's like, I just saw you guys booked him. I'm like, yep. But other than that, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. I'm Big Al.
I'm Joseph Sheeran.
And we are out of here.